Tuesday, everyone. So tonight we pose a question. Should we kill all white people?
We interrupt Gutfeld for this breaking news. Actor and comedian Wayne Brady has come out as pansexual. Brady is best known for the sketch comedy show Whose Line Is It Anyway? And is the current host of CBS's Let's Make a Deal. He says that while on a path to self-discovery, he didn't fully identify as bisexual. Adding, quote, "To me, pan means being able to be attracted to anyone who identifies as gay, straight, bi, transsexual, or non-binary." We'll keep you updated on this developing story. Now back to Gutfeld.
Well, that is something. So as I was saying, should we kill all white people? Seems crazy, but hear this man out. The man jumping up and down is Julius Malema at a rally for a South African political party called the Economic Freedom Fighters. Malema led nearly 100,000 people in this chant.
Kill the Boer, the farmer! Kill the Boer, the farmer! Brr, pa! Pa! Brr, pa! Pa! Attention!
Kill the Boer. That's spelled B-O-E-R. At first, I thought they meant B-O-R-E, and I thought, what do they have against this guy? I mean, I get it, but then I thought it was the animal B-O-A-R, and I thought it was an attack on this. But no, Kill the Boer is actually a song dating back to the fight against South Africa's racist apartheid system, which ended in the early 90s. The Boer in the song are white South African farmers of European descent. We call them white people. Here are some examples. Now, he's talking about killing white people. Now, I mean, if I were Tom Shalhoub, I'd be canceling that gig in Cape Town ASAP. Obviously, saying kill the white people is pretty bad at a political rally, and it really tanked when I said it as one lucky guy on Outnumbered. But he even did a little machine gun sound, so you don't think he meant kill them with kindness. Here's South African Elon Musk tweeting about it, quote, "They are openly pushing for genocide of white people in South Africa." Then he asked South Africa's president, "Why do you say nothing?" But then Malema later shot back, not literally anyway.
I will sing this song as in when I feel like. It's not my song, it's a struggle song. Why must I educate Elon Musk? He looks like an illiterate. The only thing that protects him is his white skin.
Oh, that's exactly what you should say when you're trying to prove you're not racist, right? Musk's white skin protects him. But from what? Certainly not UV rays. He's so pasty, he makes Gwyneth Paltrow look like Serena Williams.
Damn.
I know.
Damn.
And you just got done talking about killing whites, so I think you mean bullets. Actually, Kill the Boer is literally precise. An example of a figurative phrase, however, would be, "These wool thongs are killing me." And they do, believe me. Of course, when Elon Musk says something, liberals must oppose it. If they were lost in the desert and he brought water, they'd complain it was in a plastic bottle. So Malema is getting plenty of help from American journalists who hate white people almost as much as he does, even though most of them are whiter than a mayonnaise sandwich. According to the New York Times, despite the words, the song should not be taken as a literal call to violence, according to Mr. Malema and veterans and historians of the anti-apartheid struggle. It's been around for decades, one of many battle cries of the anti-apartheid movement that remain a defining feature of the country's political culture, end quote. But other defining features of South Africa include some of the world's highest rates of murder, assault, and robbery. Take that, Chicago. South Africa probably has better pizza, too. But did you catch that at the top, despite the words? Don't you just love it? Libs will assume the worst possible interpretation of anything you or I will say, but kill white people isn't supposed to be taken literally. The people who say law and order is a dog whistle, who invented microaggressions and trigger warnings, now give kill white people a pass. That makes as much sense as Kamala Harris talking to kids about space. Despite the words, if someone chants 3 words and one of them is kill, run for your life. If you're wondering what does he mean by that, you're a moron, a soon-to-be dead moron. So the song apparently isn't racist because, you know, it's been around for a long time. How exactly does that work? Does that go for Dixie, too, or Cotton Eye Joe, or Jimmy Crack Corn? Even an old song can inspire homicide. The Times also says Malema, quote, thrives on provocation. Apparently, the line between provocation and hate speech is as funny as Sarah Silverman's armpits. But only if the target, however, of course, is someone they hate. Keep in mind, the media accused Jason Aldean of racism for warning rioters and looters not to try that in a small town. He wasn't the one saying black people are all violent criminals, though. His critics made that assumption. A lot of the Antifa rioters are skinny whites. I thought of joining them just to lose a few pounds. Also, Luke Combs was accused of racism for doing a cover of a black woman's song from the 80s. How dare he be a Tracy Chapman fan? Doesn't he know that he's white? So the media claims innocuous statements are racist dog whistles, yet advocating the death of one race, that gets a pass. Apparently everything is racist except for singing about killing whites. It explains why some riots are mostly peaceful when dozens die and others are insurrections, in which the only person killed is an unarmed insurrectionist. So once again, it's the idea that when we only see groups, we exempt total groups from behavior that we demand from others, individuals. Kill the Boers, accepted. Try that in a small town, racist. George Floyd riots, accepted. January 6th, worst thing ever. 7-Eleven clerk clobbering a thief, arrest. Violent mobs in cities, accept. And don't call them violent mobs. That's offensive to violent mobs and future Democrat voters. So what's the lesson? If the left believes racism only applies to groups of people they don't like, then the only racism that exists is theirs. And the racism they accuse others of is just a tool they use that the media happily empowers. Because when you think about it, they can't really see racism. Because if they did, they'd have to remove every damn mirror in their house. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Douglas, more like Doug Moore, because we can't get enough of author and Fox News contributor Douglas Murray. Michigan needed this Dixon to do a whole lot of fixin'. Former Michigan gubernatorial candidate Tudor Dixon. She avoids Thanksgiving because they use her arms as the wishbone. Fox News contributor Kat Tipp. And he wears a pyramid as a party hat. My massive sidekick and the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Tyrus. Tyrus, I go to you first for no apparent reason whatsoever.
Because I was the only person who cheered when you said kill Whitey?
Yes. It really isn't about South Africa. It is about the New York Times.
It's not even about that. It's like a science experiment for me. Yeah. Every time you have the guts to talk about racism versus white people, because I get offended, but if you won't get offended, I'm not going to help you anymore. And that, like when you said it,
yeah,
every white person in there acted like they deserved it. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we did something, I don't know. You never say, no, hell no, don't talk about me like that.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. You guys never do that. We do that. If someone says something, I'm like, damn, that was racist. No, I don't want my coffee anymore. You know what? Just give me my damn coffee. You working, and I'll leave. You guys don't defend yourselves, and that's the problem. That's why a guy can go on stage and chant what he chanted forever and get everyone to do it with no consequences, no canceling. Because there's no white people willing to defend. You got to stand up for yourselves and not accept it. And you also got to be able to laugh. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to laugh at this stupid.
They did not laugh.
They did not laugh because they were scared.
They were like, this is a serious topic.
No, what they were doing, this lady right here was literally like, someone laugh first, please. I really want to laugh, but I don't want to be the first. You don't want to be the first white person to laugh.
Yeah.
It's like watching National Geographic where the wildebeest, like the first one to cross the water, everyone knows is going to get eaten, but they have to get across or they'll die. So everyone's just like, you go. And then when he gets eaten, they're like, oh.
I always forget about that. I always forget when I do these monologues that like, it always is going to have that.
It pops the hell out of me. I'm laughing and giggling, and you'll watch me watch the crowd trying to find who's going to be the one. And young lady right there in the black shirt, she did it. Yeah.
So, Douglas, this is really interesting because the New York Times, if you wore a red hat, that would be a dog whistle. But actually saying kill Whitey, come on, give him a break.
Yeah, as I always say, by the way, about the dog whistle nonsense. If you hear the whistle, you are the dog. They never take that into account.
Yes.
Well, what is it exactly you think you're hearing? But yeah, the New York Times hears racism everywhere, except for when it's really there, like in cases like this. It's an amazing thing, this, by the way. This goes to show something I've often said about America as well, which is whenever a politician goes on about racism, just look at what else is happening in their area, and you can be guaranteed there's like terrible education standards, horrible healthcare standards, and so on. It's the same with this. South Africa's been entirely black-run for 30 years. It's got devastating crime. It's got appalling, just the power just goes off in a city like Johannesburg all the time. So that would be the sort of thing that you would think they need to sort out. But no, of course, they can always say, let's just kill the remaining white farmers. And by the way, some people do. So it actually is an incitement to violence. The best thing about this story, though, is that guy saying, that guy Elon Musk, don't like the look of him. He looks like an illiterate.
Yes.
I know, there's a lot of things that people do say about Elon Musk. I've never heard anyone say he's really so stupid he can't even read. You know, I thought isn't he doing...
Count money, though. He's good with numbers.
Yeah, he's doing numbers. He's trying to get to Mars. It's quite a lot he can do, it seems to me. So, yeah.
Tudor, they were saying some stuff about, like, you know, the excuse was it was from a long time ago. I get it, but even in America, we cancel stuff because they were like inappropriate for just 5 years ago. I, for one, cannot listen to the song Christine 16 by Kiss without feeling a little dirty.
There is no a long time ago in America, but this is liberal privilege at its best, because the New York Times comes out and they say, look away, this is not what you think it is. And Elon Musk says, you got to boycott the New York Times because they are crazy. They're out there saying they are promoting this. This is exactly what happens when Americans think every other country is just like America, because they don't realize that South Africa has the third most homicides in the entire world. This is a very dangerous country. Elon Musk knows that. So he may not be able to read, but he lived there. So he has some experience understanding what it's like to be in danger all the time.
Yeah. You know, Kat, I felt like this is proof that, like, I would say 98% of the accusations of racism are false because they're only used against people you don't like. It's like you can't take these people seriously if they hold back now.
Well, what I thought was interesting is that I am not an expert on race in South Africa. And guess what? Most people aren't.
Yeah.
And the way the New York Times wrote this article was like, experts say this, experts say this, experts say this, where while the far right jumped on it and said that kill all white people means they want to kill all white people. And I'm just like, do you ever talk to any regular people and see how maybe you might think that?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a far right thing.
Yeah.
I think that if you talk to only experts all the time, then you don't get the perspective of the 98% of people who are not academics or experts. We're just like people scrolling their phone on the toilet, like, what is that?
Yeah, and I do love the fact that, like, basically in all media, most people don't know anything in media until they look it up, and then they act like they knew it. Oh yeah, you didn't know this.
I don't think
song has a rich history.
I was probably just not supposed to admit that I have no idea.
You might not know the history of South Africa, but when you like something or believe in something so much to where you're going to chant it, okay, it means you've made up your mind and you've committed to what I'm about to say is so great. Kill Whitey is so powerful. Even the specific group, ones who farm, kill all the white people who farm, say it with me, say it together for the next 20 minutes. I may not be able to read like Elon Musk, but I can read the room, and if I was a white farmer, my ass would be up out of there.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.